Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, it's JP, host of Kayfabe Chronicles, coming at you semi-live, because I actually still gotta edit this, so live is not actually happening. Anyway, gonna talk to you guys a little bit about NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2 that happened last night. I had a wonderful privilege of checking it out, so I was watching it quite a bit, and I'm gonna give you guys my little blurbs of what I feel like it was all about. Just right off the bat, NXT Takeover Brooklyn last year was one of the best things of the entire WWE NXT universe last year, in my opinion. Like Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens in the ladder match was just absolutely phenomenal. But of course, my favorite match of the year, everybody who talks to me knows about it, but Bayley versus Sasha one was. It still gives me goosebumps when I think about that match. I still watch it probably at least once a week, just to feel good inside. Like, it's just everything in that match went right. It was great on both of the girls' behalf. So like, just NXT Takeover Brooklyn just blew my mind into a new universe last year. So like this year, here's hoping it was going to happen again. The card, wasn't really like an in-your-face card. Like, a lot of the main talents from last season have been called up to the main roster, which is good for them. But I'm not smashing it. Like the card itself, you still got a lot of great names. Like, you still have Bayley on the card. You still have, like, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, you still have a lot of big name guys. And I'm glad that everybody kind of had their moment to shine on the card. So right at bat, opening contest, we got No Way Jose against Austin Aries. Austin Aries is one of those guys where I think he's really being underutilized right now. And it's kind of the whole curse of, like, the whole NXT, well, not just NXT, it's like the whole curse of the TNA guys coming over and not getting any love whatsoever. Like, Vince is like, oh, you worked for another person, so I'm just going to crap all over you kind of thing. Like, Eric Young, prime example, comes in, has, like, his one match against Samoa Joe, and then, stuff happens. So, like, Austin Aries has been kind of on the losing side lately, so with this match, I feel that if he was to lose again, it would bury him to sub mid card, like even like below the mid card, and people would just automatically forget about him. So there's a lot kind of riding on this match character wise for him. No Way Jose, I really like what he kind of has going for him. I like the whole party aspect. I think that they're trying to recreate him into like Adam Rose 2.0, and I'm not really understanding why they would want to do that. Because like Adam Rose, like, as Kruger, he was really great. I really enjoyed him in that. But just the whole Adam Rose thing, I never really fully understood. Like the whole, like, party thing where he comes out with like, upcoming wrestlers as his rosebuds. But with this, from what I could see, the people that were in the conga line were fans. I don't know. I really didn't get a good view of it. It wasn't. It was kind of blurry for me, actually. Just my eyes aren't doing too good as of late. So whatever. Push that aside. So the whole Adam Rose thing, I'm not really getting. Austin Aries came out with his Wade Barrett cape, I guess. All the power to him for rocking the cape. I've always been a fan of wrestlers rocking capes. Match itself, wasn't overly phenomenal. Like, like each one of them had their pluses, had their minuses. There was like a lot of, one guy does one move, the next guy does another move. It wasn't really one-sided. It was really cool to see, like, No Way Jose kind of break out of the last Chancery. Like, Austin had him locked into it, and like, No Way Jose is he's a big dude. Like, he's really tall. He's got the long lankiness. But also Austin Aries really isn't a big guy. Like, he's large compared to, like, me, like other people, but compared to other wrestlers, he is a little bit on the shorter side. So it was cool to see him kind of break out of that. All in all, it was a good opener match. Not a lot going on. Not like like any holy shit moments or like this is wrestling. It was decent. He locked in the last Chancery again in the middle of the ring, and No Way Jose tapped out. So it was great to see Austin Aries finally get the W. I've been waiting so freaking long for it. Like, yes, he did beat Baron Corbin, but that match, in my opinion, was actually really, really sloppy. But yeah, it is what it is. It was a good way to open the contest. It wasn't nowhere near the mind-blowing escapade that these men can possibly put on, but, it's a solid 6 out of 10 in my opinion. 6 out of 10 for No Way Jose and Austin Aries. Yeah, it was really cool. I like post match that like Hideo Itami actually came out, and he's all like, in his usual suit and no shoes, which is cool, I guess. No, I'm a big Hideo Itami fan. It was good to see him back. It's a real tough. It's really tough for a person that's on the uprise to get injured for such a long period of time that essentially they get dropped back down to where they were before, because they kind of do become a figment of our imagination and a figment of the past, and a lot of people don't really remember them that well. So it was cool to see him come in. I really hope that him and Aries actually start a feud, because I think that both of them could work really well together, because they do have similar but very contrasting styles. So I do think that them going against one another will really spark a lot of stuff into the NXT programming right now. Next match on the card, we got Billie Kay versus Ember Moon. Ember Moon, they've been really like pushing her vignettes lately. I'm just gonna put this right on the table. All I could possibly think of when I saw their entrances, was versus in a form of, like, seriously, like, did they not even look at their costumes at all? Like, the entire match, all I was hoping was for like the little toasty guy to come in the corner and like yell something. All in all, it wasn't a mind-blowing match. There was a couple botches here and there from what I could see. The crowd really wasn't into it compared to like the past NXT women's wrestling. Like Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Sasha. Those names always get thrown out. Bailey. I know it's just not on the same level at this moment. Billie Kay does have a lot of potential. I do see her doing a lot. I do really like that NXT is recruiting a lot from Australia lately, and they did promote that they are going to have a show in Australia. Good on you guys. That's really cool. Like, yeah, you got like Peyton Royce and Emma and all these people from that area, which is really cool, because there is a lot of good stuff going on in that area of the world that not a lot of people do get to see. So kudos to NXT and WWE for tapping into that. All in all, it was a very standard debut match for most wrestlers, for Ember Moon. They get their butt handed to them almost the entire match, and they pull off like one really big finisher, and then it's all over. And I admit her finisher was freaking cool. First time I saw it, I didn't really catch what happened, but when they showed it in the replay and they slowed it down, it actually is pretty legitimately badass. It's like a flipping corkscrew into a stunner off the top rope, which was really neat. I actually really liked that. All in all, like, the match, it didn't really do it for me. I'm not smashing either of the ladies. I think both of them have a lot of potential, but for me, it was really just like a 5. It wasn't completely, absolutely amazing that it could be. I do see potential in both of them, and I'm hoping that a lot of good stuff does come from either of them. Next up on the card, we have Almas versus the debuting Bobby Roode. The glorious Bobby Roode. A little funny story about Roode. A couple years ago, when we were, the family and I, we were took a trip to Orlando. We sadly didn't get to see TNA or anything like that. We did the usual Universal Studios, Disney World, all that. But on our way home, it was the day after the TNA, after the weekly TNA show. So we're in line. It's like 4 in the morning in customs, and right in front of us is Roode, and right behind me is Al Snow. And I'm getting all giddy and fanboy. I'm all like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want to disturb them and talk to them. So you kind of just I kind of looked at Bobby Roode and did like the whole and he did the whole. And we connected. It was good. Al Snow just looked really pissed off behind me like the entire time. Like, it's 4 in the morning. I don't want a beer, but I gotta go through customs. But yeah, it was cool. The thing I liked about Roode is that they're really pushing him as a heel. And right off the bat, he's like, I'm in Brooklyn. This is a crappy town. And yet, as soon as his music hits, everybody is like treating him like he's a god among men. Like, which is what, I get, like, the whole glorious theme, which is by far one of the best themes going in the entire industry right now, because it's glorious. 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 Okay, I'll stop. So he came on like this giant pillar, and then it like slowly descended him so he could enter the ring, and it was just absolutely amazing that like the audience is supposed to hate him, but they're not. They are cheering every second about him. Everything he did in the match, they were just eating him up. And he's trying to generate heat. He's trying to do like cheap heat moves, like crapping on the town and pulling like cheap moves in the ring and just being pompous. But it wasn't working. Like they're just completely bowing down him, which is awesome because I'm so glad that the Rude is getting the recognition that he deserves. I've always been a fan of him. Except the Glorious Bomb is a horrible finisher. Pub handles are ridiculous and dumb. No, Bobby Roode, bad. If I had a water bottle right now, I would spray you. Bad. You're awesome, but poo-poo finisher. The match itself was pretty high impact. There was a lot of things going on between both guys. Like the audience was cheering for both. Like they were obviously cheering more for Rude, which is weird. Almost his tights. Kudos to like the WrestleMania 7 Macho Man tights, the Macho King tights. I'll give you some credit to those. That's all I could think about the entire match. A lot of great stuff happened between them. Like a lot of them used high impact moves. It was like a counter fest. Highlight for me was when he had like almost on top rope and then almost did like a flip power bomb but landed on his feet. That was really, really cool. I'm not going to go overly detail of this match just because, I want to keep the video short this time. But all in all, it was better than the other two matches, hands down. It still wasn't phenomenal that it could be. They worked very well together. I actually hope that they continue a feud between the two because I do see a lot of potential happening with them. Obviously Rude did get the victory because he's glorious. And yeah, I give it about a 6.5 out of 10. It wasn't groundbreaking. It wasn't crap. It is what it is. It was pretty decent. Okay, up after that was the NXT tag titles between the current champions, the Revival, taking on Gargano and Tommaso. The tag division in the NXT has been kind of weird a little bit lately. Like with the recent call-ups of like American Alpha and Cass and Enzo, and just like the Ascension, Lucha Dragons, like all these tag teams that moved up. There's really not a lot of actual tag teams in the NXT division per se. Like Blake and Murphy aren't even a tag team anymore. They're doing like their own singles thing right now. So in reality, the only actual tag team at this moment was the Revival. So they weren't really defending against anybody. So I do like that they kind of went a different route with Gargano and Ciampa. The fun thing about them is they've both been on the independent scene for a long time, like Ring of Honor, all this other stuff. So when they first came into NXT, they were actually paired up during the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and they actually did very well. They made it to the second round, where of course they did lose to the eventual semifinal. Not semifinals, where they did lose in the second round to the eventual finalists of Baron Corbin and Rhino. And it was a really solid match. Like they had a lot of chemistry, and then they just kind of faded away, went their own path, and then they both came back during the Cruiserweight Classic, and they both met in the first round, which is one of the best matches of the actual entire tournament. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out. It will blow your mind the way that they worked so well together that, figure why not bring them in as a tag team again. And so that's kind of their shtick going right now. And of course, everyone knows like the Revival have been, been around for a while now. They are the two-time tag champions. Apparently they knew each other growing up. I'd have to research that. So the match itself started off actually very boring for me, per se. It took a little while to get going. I'm not going to go into major detail, but I think about a quarter of the way through, it actually started turning into your standard tag team match that you want to watch. So, a lot of cheap moves by the Revival, pulling like the blind referee, every time he's about to make his tag, the referee gets distracted, stuff like that. But just the overall hype of the match during it, like the moves that they were pulling off, pulling off a lot of double team maneuvers, them working against each other, working very well with each other. There's a lot of holy shit moments in this match. Definitely the best match on the card up until that point, hands down, nothing even close to that. I do like what they did at the end. Spoiler alert, where Gargano and Tommaso hit him with the double super kick to the head. Then they count 1, 2, and then he got his foot on the ropes and the referee didn't see it, but then the referee did, so he caused But then in the replay, you actually saw that he grabbed his foot and placed it on the rope, which was kind of cool. Like that's your stereotypical dick heel move to pull off. The entire match was really solid. I like that they had the hope where you thought that they had won the titles, and of course it was taken away, and then Tommaso gets knocked out outside the ring, and it's just all double teaming, and then he puts him into the submission hold after he chop blocks his knee. Overall, it was the best match leading up to that point, hands down. I give it like a solid 8. 8 out of 10, just for everything that was going on in it. It was a great match. I hope that they continue this rivalry between the two. One thing that kind of threw me for a loop is at the end of the match, like Revival left with their belts, and Gargano's lying in the ring, and Tommaso comes in. I so thought he was going to heel turn. I thought he was going to pick him up and be like, okay, it's okay, there's next time, and then just pull a Kevin Owens and just slam him down to the mat. But it didn't happen, and I'm glad it didn't happen, but it was really shocking to me that it didn't happen. Up next, the match that I was pretty much looking forward to the entire pay-per-view, essentially, the Women's Championship. Women's wrestling, if you guys haven't seen the WWE 24 documentary of the Women's Evolution, please check it out. Do yourself a favor. It completely takes it all the way from the Moolah days up until now, showing the ups and downs, how it went really high, then hit its downfall, and then up again, and then a downfall, and now where it is now. It was great. It hit it smack dead right on the head with that. So this match going into it, we all knew that Bayley is probably going to get called up after this match. She's one of the last of the original NXT people to still kind of be dwindling on the roster, and everyone kept wondering, how come she hasn't been called up? How come she hasn't been called up? Blah 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 blah. Because all these other people ahead of her, like Dana Brooke, Carmella, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, all these other women wrestlers have been called up ahead of her, where she is hands down better than all of them combined for wrestling ability, likability, all that stuff. So going into this match, we all knew that this was probably going to be her last NXT match, so of course she wasn't going to win the title. Why would they do that? But there was that small glimmer of hope that she would win the match. Last year at NXT Takeover Brooklyn, the match between Bayley and Sasha Banks was pure magic. And I'm not talking magic like this. I'm talking about just the sheer magic of just wrestling. I talked about it a lot earlier on, so I'm not going to echo that. But even the first match between Bayley and Asuka was great. We all figured Asuka's going to be Bayley's toughest competition, and that whole match, Asuka pretty much owned the match about 80% of it. Every move that Bayley did, Asuka had a counter for. So going into this match, you figured, okay, Bayley's going to be able to, she's worked hard, she's trained, she's going to be able to take almost everything that Asuka can give her, and they did not disappoint. This match was just balls to the wall right off the bat. The moves they were just doing with each other complemented one another. No one was really on the offense for super long. One would do moves, the next one would do some moves. The audience was eating it up every single second. When she got her into the Asuka lock and then she managed to break out, that was really cool. Everyone really liked that. I think the real part of me that the only part I really didn't like was kind of the ending. It was very similar to the last NXT Takeover where it was Nia Jax versus Asuka, where Asuka kicks her a couple times, pins her 1, 2, and then she gets out oh, you can't beat me, and then boom, kick to the head, 1, 2, 3, done. Exact same finish as that match. Yes, it's heartbreaking that Bayley didn't win, but it's also kind of the closing of a chapter for her. I love that the audience got right into it, cheering thank you, Bayley. She went out and hugged Sasha and Becky in the front row. She hugged Charlotte, who's also out there. She hugged her mom. She hugged Izzy, Bayley fan number 1, who her and her dad made it out to that show, which was really cool. If you're not really familiar with NXT, you really won't know who she is, but she's pretty much just just a Bayley super fan, and she's really cool. She's fun to watch. She always gets really into the matches, which is great. It's good to see that young kids, that were kind of passing the torch down. And I'm not even that old, but still, like it's good to see like the younger kids getting into it, which is really good. So pretty much, like just the end of the match, the part that really got to me is as she was walking away, she kind of like pointed down at the NXT logo on the ramp and did like a hand gesture, pretty much flat out saying like, I've paved the way for the next people, and so like this is my time. I'm now on my way out, which is great. It's gonna be sad to not see her there anymore, but I'm really excited to see her on the main show. Is she gonna end up on Raw? Is she gonna end up on SmackDown? Who knows? The thing that I'm really confused about with the whole split is there isn't enough women in the division right now to warrant two different shows. Like I think it should have been kind of like the cruiserweight, like how they're going to put all the cruiserweights on Monday Night Raw. Like so they should have had all the women on SmackDown then, because like right now on Raw you got Charlotte, Sasha, Nia, and Paige. Like there's really not a lot going on there. That's 4 people to contend for a title. And then and Dana Brooke. Sorry Dana, we love you, Big Mama Pump. And then, like, on the SmackDown side, like, there's really not a lot either. So, like, there's, like, maybe 4 or 5. So, like, I think that they should have kind of just kept them all together on the same show, have the one belt, just so, like, you can get a lot more storylines out of it. But whatever, I'm just a guy. I don't work for WWE. I just kind of sit back and throw my 2 cents all at you. So, that match, solid match. One of the best matches of the night. Not the best match of the night. Close. But we all know what the best match of the night was, and that's ultimately the grand finale of them all. Samoa Joe taking on Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT title. Holy hell. This match was just... It was all of that in a bag of chips. It was just like the opening, just like Nakamura coming down to like live violin music was really cool. Like the smoke and the lights and the audience just cheering it up, and like Samoa Joe coming out to his badass music as always. And just like everything that this match could have possibly brought to the table, they did. They pulled out every single one of their move sets. Like every single move that these guys have ever done made an appearance in this match, and it was just... words cannot explain how awesome this match was. It's definitely in my top for sure. In my top matches of the year. It's always good when some NXT matches make it into the top list, but yeah, this match was great. Like Shinsuke, got dominated a good amount of time, but he pulled his strong style out and took Joe back. I'm just glad, like Joe hit him with the... Joe hit him with a muscle buster. He kicked out. He got him in the chokehold. He managed to escape that. Freaking Shinsuke hit him with a Kinshasa, and Joe kicked out. It took 2 of them to bring the big man down. And just... I really cannot explain in detail how awesome this match is. You definitely just have to check it out. 10 out of 10. Like, 10 out of freaking 10, this match. It was just everything that you could possibly hope for in this match. And it was definitely the match of the night. Of course, as you guys probably know by now, Shinsuke did walk away with the title. They're definitely going to have a rematch. This isn't a one and done kind of thing. Like, they're definitely going to have a match at the next event. So, all in all, compared to last year's Takeover Brooklyn, in my opinion, not as strong. I'm unfortunately just like last year. I think just had a little bit more magic to it. I think all the matches at last year's were very, very above the standard setting. This one, unfortunately, it didn't really pick up until the tag team match for me. Granted, the 3 title matches were all solid, which is the way it should be. Title matches should never ever be disappointing. But yeah, this entire event was great. I'm looking forward to SummerSlam. I will be watching that again, and I will be giving you all my 2 cents on that. So that's all for me. So if you guys like the video, please hit the like button, leave some comments in the bottom of the screen. Subscribe for more great stuff, and you can also follow us on Twitter using the 2 names down below. And if you didn't like it, hey, you know what? You're all allowed to have your guys' opinion, so please let me know what you think in the comments. And I will see you all next time.
Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm